We went and took them, plus range cattle, anything we got our hands on, we brought down and put on the hay fields, because the hay fields would not burn.
Right.
They were irrigated.
Yes, that's good. And so how many animals were you moving?
We moved, I think, about 25 cows and 25 calves and a bull.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was enough. And like they tried to make us get out of here and we wouldn't go. For the simple reason we knew if we left, the whole place would go down.
Right.
And we weren't really in a whole lot of trouble with the river there and the hay fields there. We weren't going to die. But we did turn to water. I remember trying to take moving animals and everything, and then my old legs are feeling like water, and I said, don't fail me now, legs. So we just stayed here. We didn't leave for 11 days. But when I read the insurance policy and hadn't done so in years, just kept paying it, it wasn't enough. The inflation had caught up to what I had. We would have never replaced this place if it went down. Like there's 2 houses here, and there's several outbuildings, and they would all go. The worst thing I remember of the whole thing is when I was taking Kevin back up to his place, and I looked and seen the fire had jumped the river. I knew hell was born, and that was pretty sad to see because I knew there was no stopping it. It just went like in 30 minutes, everything was on fire. It was the fastest moving fire I've ever seen in my life. And it would crown through the trees, it would fall through to the ground. It would come up out of the ground. The root system would start to burn. And we had, the Ontario firefighters left us a fire pump and 400 feet of hose, and we had the swimming pool. And like when the fire was going to come up to the house here, it was past the shed out there and it was coming through the trees. We fired up the pump and started to water and take it down out of the trees first, water the trees and make it drop, and then water the ground. We did that, and then we had to go down to the railroad track. We used the tractor for that and built a barricade with the ballast of the railroad down, and there's no railroad at the time, they weren't running through, so it didn't matter. And built a barricade at the railroad track to stop it from coming up the railroad track anymore. Then we had to go down to the river, and we had to fight that one by hand because it was through the root system, like the water undermines, and there's a root system down there.
Yeah.
And we had, I think I spent 5 days putting one fire out down there. You'd think you had it out and it would come full blown again. But it was within 5 feet of the house down there. And if it took the house out, it would take all the other stuff out, the hay sheds and burn the hay, the sheds, the machinery, everything would have gone. I didn't think it would ever go back to normal. You know, it was, John had a pass, so he took me out driving around. And it was pretty devastating. All the wires and the telephone poles were on the ground. The fences would be, the wire wouldn't burn, but the fence posts would, and here'd be 5 or 6 strands of wire. There's staples running down and nothing connected. The posts were gone. And I mean, the only field that was still with a fence in it to contain the animals was the hayfield. Everything else was burnt down. I was getting pretty worn out from fighting the fire, because it was an all day long job from till it got dark. And I would fill up water down from the river, and of course you had to bucket in. You get pretty tired after a while, and you had to go to where all the hot spots were and start putting them out. There was days and days of that, and I got pretty tired. Finally, I said to Gary, "Let's place burn down." I says, "I don't care no more. I'm too tired." No, he says, "We can save her. We can save her." And I do remember when the fire was crowning through the trees out here, I said to, I jumped in my car, not the truck, but the car, and drove up to where my husband was, who was spraying water up into the trees trying to get the fire to come down. And I said, "Jump in the car, we're out of here." He says, "No, I can save her. I can save her." And I said, "You're crazy." So, "Well, if you're going to stay, I'm going to stay." I was ready to leave.
And it must have been incredibly difficult to lose your husband after you worked so hard to save this
Yeah,
ranch.
he made it, let's see, the fire was 2003. He made it 2 years only after the fire.
Yeah.
We even lost, we had a 10-year tenant here too. This was like having an uncle here. And he died 1 year after the fire. Gary went 2 years after the fire, and my sister went 3. So that's when I ended the racehorse business. I said, I don't need this. And I sold the cattle too because it's too much work for one person. What I found, we had a lot of, there must have been a fair amount of heavy stress for a lot of people here because we lost a lot of people after the fire. We lost nobody through the fire, but the people passed on after the fire, and it was stress, I think, pushed them over the edge. That was the sad part when Tolkien went down. That was 150 families right there. I think it was 150 jobs there, if I remember right. Well, you got to think the impact of a wife and kids. How many people had to leave,
Yeah.
and especially when Tolkien decided not to rebuild.
Like all that hillside, like it looks fairly green over there.
Yes.
But the whole thing was on fire, like stumps and whatever.
Yeah.
If you go over to the other side of the highway, you can see where the stumps got
Right.
burnt right out of the ground. There's no
Yes.
stump there, just a big hole.
Yes.
With these roots going, and the roots would burn and everything.
Yes.
And it would be a hole
Yeah.
with roots going from one place to another.
Yeah.
Fire came across the road and across into the hill there. It's all burned. We have an island down there too. Now, it jumped onto the island and burnt stumps out. Didn't take the whole island down because there's dampness there. But the fire was coming back down across the mountain there, and it was going to try to come down the river there. We managed to stop it there.